All right, YouTube, Repoman 64. Why have we not been raptured yet? The answer is simple, and we all know it in the bottom of our hearts, and that is that the date God wrote before the foundations of the world hasn't arrived yet. And while we do all of our calculations and figurings, there are certain things we do know. We do know that the fig tree generation stands. We do know that this is the Jubilee year. Finally worked it all out. This is the Jubilee year. It began on March 17th and ends in 2026 here. Well, we call it 2026. This is actually 2025 mathematically because of that 0 year the Catholic monk messed up on in 525 AD. We're actually in 2025. It doesn't matter uh, what year we call it on the Gregorian calendar because it's a fake calendar. The Julian calendar is a fake calendar. The original calendar started, and it's easily calculable from creation to 4,000 years later, Jesus' birth, to from his death, 2,000 years later, Hosea 6:2 will be fulfilled. And on that date, this is when the two witnesses die in on March 30th, 2030. And then after 2 days and on the third day, it'll be 2033. We have a lot of proofs that we're in the right time, that it's not going to take another couple of years or decades or hundreds of years. We're in the right time. We know that we're in the right time because Israel was attacked on October 23rd. That's what initiated everything that you're watching. That's what started it all. And people argue back and forth, well, it's the Jews' fault for not stopping it. No, it's their fault for coming in and killing all of those children that were out at a concert. They started this. They drew first blood. They started it. I got my lighting fixed. Oh, I got a shine. That's not good. I tried to turn it down. Let me see if I turn it down. I still have a shine. But anyway, that's what started Jacob's trouble. I hear a lot of people, and I was just speaking with Eco Symphony in an email, and not to say anything about Eco Symphony or anyone else for that matter. I hear Mark over at Strength Ministries saying the same thing, and it's just a calendar. It's just a calendar, and wow, how do I say this without sounding prideful? I've spent a long time, my whole life, wanting to know the head of the year, knowing that once I figured that out, I could build the whole calendar. And so these people have a different piece of the puzzle. Eager Symphony is very smart. She's an engineer. Wouldn't take anything away from her at all. And I want to word it in a way to where this misconception has been propagated for a very long time, in that Jacob got married when he was 77 to Leah instead of Rachel. Then he worked another 7 years and married Rachel. And that's just not what the Bible says. The Bible says that his trouble is not the time that he spent with Laban working for those 20 years. His trouble is the trouble that began with Esau. Esau was the reason he fled. Esau was the reason that he went back. He fled. Jacob's trouble began when he fled from Esau. And it ended when he met back up with Esau. In the course of those 20 years, he left when he was 77. He returned when he was 97. When he was 77 years old, he left Jacob's trouble. Jacob's trouble is 20 years. It's not 7. Every time I hear it's 7 years because of the 7 years he had to work. He worked for 20. He didn't work for 7. We have to be able to make that fit. We can't take it out of context. It must fit. And until we can get all the Bible verses to fit a timeline, not to push it or, well, let's forget about that one and we'll work on this one. No, they all must fit. I believe that's what we find when we built this timeline, and that is Jacob left when he was 77. What do we do about Israel turning 78? I think, and again, I was talking with Ikra Symphony in the email, and she made a comment that on January the 25th of 1949, that's when the Knesset was put together. And I believe if you do the math from May 14th of 1948, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December, January, that's 8 months, right? May to June, July, August, September, October, November, December, January. In the middle of January would be 8 months and some. So it's not a 9 month thing. It's an 8 month thing. But that's when the Knesset was formed on January the 25th, which that's what I show on my timeline, or one of the timelines that I built, as being the date that Israel completes the temple. It's Shavat 11. That's what January the 25th is, Shabbat 11. And so I'm trying to make it fit. It has to fit. So Jacob, when he left, he was 77. But when he married or when he made the deal, we don't know exactly how long it was from when he left to when he reached Laban, made the deal. We know that the Bible tells us that he worked for a whole month before he made the deal. He was just working. And then Laban approaches and says, hey, what do I got to do to get you to stay here? What deal can we make? And he says, well, if you'll give me Rachel's hand in marriage in 7 years from now, I'll work for you for those 7 years. Okay, deal struck. He works for 7 years. He is now 84 years old. He's 84 years old now when he marries, it turns out, Leah. There's a conversation, heated conversation, and he makes a new deal. Give Leah her 7 days, then you can marry Rachel, but you will continue to work for me for yet another 7 years. So when he was 84, he married both Leah and Rachel 1 week apart. He worked for another 7 years. Could have left 14 years. Could have left, but he didn't. He made another deal. And this deal was work for 6 years, and he gets half of the cattle, I believe, or the cattle that has spots on it. And those cattle that had the spots on it turned out to be the one giving birth to the clean animals, which represents us. And the clean animals, or the spotless animals, wound up having offspring that had spots on them, which is the ones Laban kept, which would represent the Jews. So Jacob's trouble is 20 years. It's not 7. But for the very sake of the elect, I will cut the time short. And we go back and forth on this subject and say, well, tribulation must be 5 years. It must be 6 years. No, Daniel's 70th week is clear. It's 7 years. It's not 5 or 6. It's not cut in half to 3.5 because Jesus completed 3.5 of the years. None of that is accurate. Accurately, it's 7 years. So Jacob's trouble and Daniel's 70th week are not connected. They are not the same thing. They're two different things. And because God cut the time short, referencing Jacob, 20 years, it'll be cut short to 10. Israel was attacked on October the 7th of 2023. 10 years later, we're 3 years into this already, almost. Coming up here on October, it'll be 3 years into this. We still have, according to Jacob's trouble, because God cut the time in half, 7 more years after that. 3.5 and 3.5. And ironically, it ends. Those 10 years, because it was October 7th of 2023, ends on October. Well, historians or people who have studied the Bible forever state that the tribulation will end on the Day of Atonement. They never knew what year. But mathematically now we know that the end of the tribulation is in 2033. So that would be October the 7th. But they all have determined that it would be September the 24th, the Day of Atonement, the day of the Revelation 12 sign, the day Jesus began his ministry, which was 5 days before his birthday on September the 30th. So I'm going to go through a few of the timelines real quick. Just hang in there. That's all I can say. I'm hanging in there too. You don't think I already want to go? I don't think I already, over these past years, uh, have put out quite a few high watch days. I never said I don't know when the rapture is. I've always said that. A few commenters, you're always wrong. Am I? I'm right about the timeline. I just don't know when the rapture is. I've made that pretty clear. But look at this mathematical equation and look at what's going on here. So Jacob's trouble's cut in half, 10 years. October the 7th of 2033 is 10 years. But the time, technically, it should have been 20 years in 2043, but it was cut in half. And that's why it ends there. Now, to line that back up with Daniel's 70th week, the rapture must occur this year, in the year 2026, by September the 24th or September the 15th, which is trumpets, Tishri 1. The rapture must occur before any seals are opened. I know there's a lot of people out there who think we have been going through the seals. We have not. We're standing right there when the first seals open. Those have not happened yet. While we have types and shadows of seals happening over the last 2,000 years, showing us how bad it actually could get. A lot of bad things have happened. Earthquakes, just some terrible things have happened. Just samples of what's going to be going on during the tribulation. And Daniel's 70th week must kick off by September the 24th in the year 2026 in order for there to be a 7-year Daniel's 70th week to end on September the 24th in 2033. That's how it lines up. That's why on that day, on Shemini Atzeret, the day Jesus was named and circumcised, 8 days after his birthday, or the anniversary thereof, on October the 7th in 2023, Israel was attacked, and 10 years later is the end of the tribulation, and Daniel's 70th week kicks off here, coming September the 24th, here in 2026. It goes on for 7 full years. The time cut short has nothing to do with Daniel's 70th week. The Bible's clear. It's 70th week. It's a week. It's a whole week. And halfway through that, there'll be a covenant for 7 years. And halfway through, he'll break the covenant. He'll go in and proclaim himself to be God. The 2 witnesses will die. They'll lie dead in the street for 3.5 days. What's 3.5? Why change it 3.5 for the 2 witnesses when they say Jesus was in the tomb for 3 days and they cut it in half and in 4? It was a part of this day and the part of that day. So we're just going to, no, he was in the tomb for 84 hours, 3.5 days. It's 3 days when you say it because it's not 4. It hasn't reached 4 yet. It's 3 days. It's 3.5 days, 84 hours. And that's why the 2 witnesses will lie dead in the street for 84 hours, because they will die on Passover, probably at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It might be reversed at 3 in the morning because the whole world needs to see them rise. And 84 hours after 3 p.m. would be April the 3rd at 3 a.m. So it might be reversed. I don't know. But let's just say it's not. Let's just say it is exactly mirroring Jesus's time. They will die at 3 o'clock in the afternoon on March the 30th and on April the 3rd, 3.5 days later, because that's what the Bible says. It says 8 types and shadows, a pattern is prophecy. If the 2 witnesses, if God took time to tell us 3.5 days instead of 3, why did he say 3.5? He wants us to become intimate with his word. He wants us to research, and no small detail, every detail in the Bible is huge. No small word is to be overlooked. It's very important for me, mathematically, calendrically, to go through and find all the little secret hidden things that give me time and when things happened. So Eager Symphony might be right about January the 25th, as far as by January the 25th, Israel of 2027, Israel will turn 78. I know that we've been looking at May 14th, 1948 forever, and I kind of agree with it, but it passed. It passed. What do? We have to read very carefully what it says as far as the fig tree generation. It's not just the nation being born today. It also says when they begin to sprout leaves. Now that happened when the Knesset was formed on January 25th in 1949. So technically, and again, like I said, Jacob left when he was 77. Did it go all the way around? Let's say he turned 77 on or everyone imagines he turned 77 on May 14th, right? Or did he turn 70? He turned 77 on May 14th when he fled from his brother Esau. But that calendar was different back in those days. They used the calendar that I built. That's the calendar that they used. So the year didn't switch over in January. So when you get down to the 11/11 or the 11th month and 11th day, Shabbat 11, he's still 77. We are, and it's an irony that the numbers line up like they do, but we are not an irony. It's biblical. That's what God did. But we have to take into account that while our calendar shows the head of the year is January the first, the biblical head of the year is March 17th on the day of equal parts, the day equalized, just like Enoch said, just like Jesus said, are there not 12 hours a day? That only happens on March 16th. That's when it happens. So, with all that being said, what's wonderful about that timeline that I had built, and I had Sister Sandy go in and do some repairs to it, because I forgot about the fact that, like I said, coming here on December the 31st, we're going to switch the year. It actually doesn't switch until um, March 17th of 2027. That's when it actually switches. They're 75 days apart. Likewise, Jacob left when he was 77. We don't know how long it took him to get there. We don't know all the events that took place before he got to Laban. We know he worked for Laban for 30 days, and then the deal was struck. His trouble, of course, is nothing to do with that work. His trouble, and even he says that I worked for 7 years and it felt like nothing because I was so in love with Rachel, I didn't even notice the time. That is, I think God is pointing us to the trouble is the fear he had. The fear he had was his brother Esau. Remember when he come back? He is now 97 years old. Comes back, sees his brother, and he goes forward and he says, "I'm going to go get killed right now. He's going to kill me, but I have to go, take my medicine." What does Esau do? He hugs him. He's happy to see him. He's really happy to be there. Esau is a picture of a tribulation saint. Tribulation saint get a double portion. They get more than what we have. We have not seen anything. Few dreams, but not Jesus isn't standing here in the room with me going, say this, hey, say that. He's not. He's here. The Holy Spirit is here, but it's not like that. But it will be like that. They'll be seeing things that we would flip out if we saw, but they're going to see. They're going to see angels flying around. They're going to see miracles being uh, done by Elijah and Moses. It's going to be quite an incredible time. They're going to get a double portion. So let me show you the timeline. Share button is here. Share. Move myself up out of the way. Let's see here. Where's the pictures at? iCloud, is this it? Yeah. So I built this timeline last year. I think this is where she fixed because of the 0 year. I have always put 25, 26 because the 0 year is an absolute mess. So 2025 to 2026 AD. But the year is actually 6,027. It's divisible by 49. A jubilee is 49, not 50. That's contrary to what a lot of people say. Jubilee is not 50 years. It's the 50th year, but it shares the first year of the next 49 years Shemitah block. So last year, technically, was 2024. technically, it was the 49th year of that Shemitah block. The 50th year, again, sharing the first year of the next 49-year Shemitah block, is 2028. That's where we are right now. We are in 6028. We can't go over 6,000. I don't know who said that. Somebody said that somewhere at some point, and people just latched onto it and won't forget it. It is 4,000 years to his birth and 2,000 years from his death. And 2,000 years after his death is 2030. He died in 30 AD. And 2,000 years after his death is when bowls begin. This is when the Jews flee to Petra, when the two witnesses die. This is when Satan goes in and proclaims himself to be God. This is a really bad time. A third of the Jews will flee to Petra during this time. After 2 days, Hosea 6:2, and in the third day, 2033 AD, right here, it'll be the year 6035. Adam was in the garden for 7 years. He was in the garden for 7 years. You can find this in extra biblical books, but it's also symmetrically valid that he was in there for 7 years. I know others have different math, and that's fine. Their math is still bringing them to this time, but this is mine. He was in the garden for 7 years until he sinned. He was removed from the garden on the last day of Hanukkah, or the day after Hanukkah, the day after the last day of Hanukkah. December the 16th, Tevet 1, is when he was removed. There's a new Jubilee count counting from here. This Jubilee count only counts to the end of the tribulation. In tribulation, we have lived since Adam sinned and was kicked out of the garden. We have lived 123 Jubilees up until the year 6035 or the year 2033. When all the math comes together and starts to fit like it has, I know the rapture is going to be in 2026. I know Israel is attacked in 2023. I know Jacob's trouble is shortened from 20 years to 10. That's why you will see Jubilee from sin, the Jubilee, this Jubilee now, the Jubilee runs all the way to the end of time, but the one from creation, not the one from Adam's sin. Adam's sin Jubilee runs, again, 123 Jubilees from creation, and then Adam sinned after 7 years, 123 Jubilees, and it brings you to the end of the tribulation. Ours, or this 123 Jubilee from the beginning of creation, brings us up to the beginning of the tribulation. That's why the tribulation is 7 years apart from Adam sinning. So creation to Adam sinning 7 years, beginning of tribulation to the end of tribulation 7 years. We wind up in the year 2033, just like the Bible says in Hosea 6:2. After 2 days, I will revive them, and on the third day will raise them up. God will raise up these Jews in the year 2033 AD. Around September the 24th, I just did this for symmetry, around September the 24th, and they will, you can read your Bibles, they will be the one to burn up all the weapons and turn them into plowshares. They will be the ones to clean up all the dead bodies. They will be the ones, for the hardness of their hearts, they will be the ones. They will enter into the millennium still sinners. For 1,000 years, they will enter into the millennium. This Jubilee from Adam's sin ends right here. That is exactly 123 Jubilees, or 6,035 years from creation, or our year 2033. That's where it ends. This Jubilee count from Adam's sin is gone after this. There is no more. I plugged it in every which way I could think of. There is no more. What we wind up with is from creation, beginning of tribulation. From creation, 123 Jubilees. We wind up here, and then we have 21 Jubilees, which brings us to the year 3054 AD, or the year 7056, which gives exactly 1,000 years of time This Jubilee ends when Satan gets his little season, which is 14 years. This 1,000 years that Jesus will be ruling and reigning will begin in the year 6042, in the year 2040 AD, and it will run 1,000 years. So you can see how God has joined together the day for 1,000 years and 1,000 years for a day. God created everything in 6 days, and then he rested on the seventh. But what people forget is you need to go back and read Genesis 2. He recounts the creation of man. Then he says on the seventh day, when he's supposed to be resting, he dresses the garden. He sets it all up. He brings Adam into the garden. He points out a tree in the garden, says, Adam, everything in here you can eat from, except that tree over there. Don't touch it. Then Adam and God allows Adam to name all the animals, name the stars. God shows him all of the stars. Their IQ is off the charts. Their memory retention is nothing like we have today. The smartest man in the world is the smartest man because of memory retention. His IQ is off the charts. I think, what did they say? It's 276. It's way up there. He's very smart. He's so smart. In fact, he realized at his height of intelligence that Jesus Christ is God. The only way to heaven is through him. And so that's amazing in and of itself. So this, the time, the 2,000 years goes here from the cross. It goes 2,000 years to where they flee to Petra. It's a dispensational shift in between the time Jesus is born and to the time Jesus goes to the cross. That's the time difference that we're seeing. That's why it's the year 6028 and not the year 6000. During this time, Jesus is growing up. Because of the 0 year, when you add 33 and a half in 6 months, you get 34. You get 41, you get 48, but that's because of the 0 year. Jesus, in and of himself, is a Jubilee. It was 49 years from 11 BC to 38 AD. I see this also all the time, and it's really simple. The decree went out in 445 to go out and rebuild. It was at the temple, I believe. It's in the book of Daniel. These are Daniel's weeks that it speaks of. And people kind of gloss over the 62 weeks. They don't understand it. They lean heavily on the 69 weeks and they say we have 1 week left, 7 years. Those people are correct. But they do some weird math from 445 BC to current times, and they come up with some number. Sounds great, but it's not accurate. There never was 360 days in a year. There never will be 360 days in a year. The Bible assures us in 5 different passages that the earth is set and fixed in its motion and will not change from creation until destruction. It's going to be set in its course. And you can simply walk outside right now and see that course every single day. It doesn't budge, it hasn't moved. You can go into time and date and put in sun and moon and look back 600 years, look forward 600 years, and you'll see that March 16th is always a day of equal parts. Always. Nothing's going to change with the amount of time it takes for the earth to go around the sun. The decree went out in 445 BC. Daniel's 62 weeks that it speaks of, when you multiply it times 7, is 434. If you deduct 434 from 445 BC, it's 11 BC. That's when they were looking for Jesus. They did the same math I did right here. And they were like, Jesus has to be here at 11 BC. He didn't show. Why didn't he show? Because they didn't know he was the Jubilee. And they didn't know that he was going to perform everything he needed to in the center of that 49. 445 BC, Daniel's 69 weeks, 483 years. If you take 480, if you take 445, deduct it from 483, it's 38 AD. These two add up to 49. With the 0 year, it's 48, just like I showed you up here. It's 49 years. God's fully aware of the 0 year problem and how they count and how it should be counted. He's fully aware of it. But Jesus is the Jubilee. Jesus came 7 years after he was supposed to, which is why they weren't looking for him. They didn't know who he was. because they expected him in 11 BC. 49 years, he should have left in 38 AD, but he didn't. He went to the cross in 30 AD. On March 30th, Nisan 14, in the year 4033, or 30, depends on the 0 year, 31 AD. So, with all of that being said, Jesus was showing us, no, it doesn't, he wasn't born on a Jubilee, didn't die on a Jubilee. Even if you add the time back in, none of these equal a Jubilee. Jesus is the Jubilee. That's the point of these 49 years. They missed him because he was born over here on September the 30th, Tishri 15, Tabernacles, 4,000 years after creation, exactly in 3 BC. That's when he was born on Tabernacles. You go the 33 and a half years plus the 6 months we see in Exodus 12, 34 years. And again, he went to the cross on March 30th, Nisan 14, in the year 4033. It's 33 years. It's actually 33 and a half because it goes from September to March. It's 33 and a half, which I show you up here, 33 and a half, plus the 6 months from Exodus 12. He's right smack in the center, 49, 7 and 7, and 34. Again, it adds up to 48, but it's because of this 0 year right here in the center. Now, let me go on to the next slide. This is one also that Sister Sandy did some fixes, some repairs for me. When I was talking with Ikra Symphony, she said January the 25th, which jarred my memory. I said, January the 25th is Shabbat 11 or 11/11. The temple should be built by then. I had to fix all the years because of the 0 year. I was off by a year. I called the Jubilee year last year because it was supposed to be in 2025. I didn't realize that it was 2024 when I called it. We are in now 2025. Mathematically, that's how it works out. Let me see if I can find that real quick. Ugh. It's not that one. It might be that one. Yes, it is this one. Let me see something. My phone just blinked. My wife's out getting my grandson a haircut. Oh, it's a spine breaker. Getting his haircut. So I said, I'll stay behind and make a video. All right. I don't know if you can see this, but the consensus is that creation began in 4003. That, again, that monk who created BC and AD in 525 AD made a mistake by 3 years. So when they actually began counting, and it was too late, the world viewed the calendars now as that monk had said it, because Julian calendar didn't set it. Julian calendar just set January 1st as the head of the year. They didn't set a BC AD thing. That actually happened in 525 AD. So Jesus was not on this whatsoever. He was born after 4,000 years, and 2,000 years after the cross is where the Jews will flee to Petra. That's when it's all done. There's going to be a small remnant after that. Wicked people are going to rule this world for 3.5 years with Satan. Terrible things should be going on. They're not going to be like me and you. They will hate God. There will be a select handful, a very select handful that will die by getting their heads chopped off, who will not receive the mark. Not very many of them. So 4003, you go to Jesus right here, BC AD. I just counted it through. I didn't add BC AD to anything. I just counted it straight through. It is the year 4018. If you take away in 3969, that's the 49. You see, there's always 49 years in between these two and 49 years in between these two. Jesus came in 11 BC and he died on the cross in 30 AD. Sorry, Jesus came in 3 BC, but the Jubilee encompassed him by 7 years on either side, 11 BC to 40 AD, I think it was, or 38 AD, I don't recall. But that's very, that's why I know, I just counted them out perfectly. I know that um, this 2024 was the 49th year Shemitah block, and 2025 is the Jubilee. This is the first year of the new Shemitah block. They go 49s. They go by here, over here, they go by 49s. But here I went year for year so you can see how it lines up perfectly. We're in the year 2025 right now. So let me keep going forward here. Oh, that one. That's the one I worked on right here. I don't know if I was going to have Sister Sandy fix this. From when Israel's attacked, you go 3 years, and October the 7th of 2026 is when the tribulation must begin. We got to be out of here before September. That's exactly 3 years. I got to send this over to Sister Sandy so she can repair it for me. But the up here I wrote, I believe I can't see it because it's blurry, but Daniel's 70th week is not the same as Jacob's trouble. Jacob's trouble is 20 years. He was in trouble with his brother for 20 years. Bible's really clear on that. He wasn't in trouble with Laban. He might have been in trouble for being married to four women or having four women. That'd be a lot of trouble. I have got my wife. I've had her for a very long time, and I don't know what life would be like without her. I am very lucky and fortunate to have her. She's an awesome person. Um, and so I don't know if he could find that in four different ways. I know I couldn't. I know I couldn't. So 10 years. This is Jacob's trouble. And if you count it from Israel was attacked, it will run over to here. And then when I was building it, I was like, wait a second, Jacob's trouble and this 7 years of the tribulation are not the same thing. This is when it all began, when they were attacked. Let's see here. That was how do you call what's his uh David, sorry, David from David the Watchman. He built this for me. All right. Oh, she did fix it. This is what I was. Oh, she did fix it. Never mind. I need to delete that other one. That's weird. Excuse me. All right. Is this the one I was just talking? No, this is the one I was saying. 3 years. They were attacked on October 7th in the year 2033. Technically, it's the year 2022, 6,025 years after creation, and 6,018 years after Adam sinned. You go 3 years into the future, and we have 3 years right here, October the 7th of 2026. That's Shemini Atzeret. I still think that the tribulation begins. I think it begins on September the 15th on Tishri 1 on trumpets. I think that's when it actually begins. And so we go forward 3.5 years, which just so happens to land perfectly on March 30th in 2030. That's when they have to flee. And then we have another 3.5 years, and it all ends on both timelines. Now, both timelines end right here. This first timeline is for the Jew. This is 10 years of Jacob's trouble. This timeline here is for the Gentile. This is Daniel's 70th week. This is the 7 year tribulation. And the Jews, remember, will be protected and kind of kept away from all of this. This is the Gentile time here, 7 years. The Jew, 10 years. Us, 7. Not us. We won't be here. But the anchor. We needed an anchor, and the cross. This is exactly 2,000 years after the cross. That's our anchor, March 30th, 2030. You go back 2,000 years, and you land back here on. Where did it go? In year 26, or in the year 30 AD. Oh, I didn't go, I did that on the other timeline. So let me keep going here. I just showed you that one. I kind of showed you this one. This is where you have this 7 year gap right here, 7 years, 47 days. Adam was created September the 16th. He sinned on October the 31st, and he was kicked out of the garden on December the 16th, 45 days later. So basically, it's a season. It's 45 and 47. It works out to be 92 days or 91 days for a season, and then he was removed the following day. So let me see here. Where are we at? Yeah, we have already left that 23.5 degree mark where officially our days are getting shorter. So, like I said, I showed you how um, everything has a purpose and an exact time. This is exactly when Jesus was baptized. He was baptized on August the 15th, which is a little one. He was baptized in the year 26 AD. This is 2026. Now, if you're counting from our time and counting back, this is the year 2026. If you're counting from back there and coming forward, this is the year 2025. That does get confusing, I'm aware, but look at modern day counting back. We're always going to count back to the wrong time because of the 0 year. Once you go beyond the 0 year into BC, that's where the mistake happens. So 2026, coming back here to 26 AD, this is where Jesus began his ministry. I have a lot of people sending me a couple of verses showing, well, it's 29 AD because the king served for 15 years and he started serving in 14 AD, so that made it 29 AD. Keep reading the passage, read the whole passage. When you get down to the bottom and John loses his head, and then the very next passage is John baptizing Jesus, just ask yourself, how is he baptizing Jesus with no head? No, it's shifting on you. It's changing time. It's talking about the initial passage of John. It's talking about, is it John? Yeah, no. I don't recall exactly where that's at. I think it's John. John the Baptist. Yeah, I don't know where that. I'll have to look that up. But the initial part of I might have it. The initial part is talking about his death. That's at the end of 3.5 years. He dies on March 30th in the year. I'm sorry, on September 30th. This is where John the Baptist dies, right here. On September, where'd it go? There we go. He dies right here on September 30th, in between these two dates, in the year 29 AD. Remember, the year shifts over in March. Jesus goes to the cross just 14 days after the year shifts over. This is 29 AD. And then it goes on to say, and he baptized Jesus after he lost his head. This is where he baptized Jesus. The story just shifts 3.5 years earlier to where Jesus was baptized. He was baptized here in 26 AD on August 15th. That's when he was baptized. His ministry lasted 3.5 years. A half a year after he begins his ministry, right here on September the 24th, a half a year later, he's on a half year later is March, and then 3 years later is March still, 3.5 years. It's the symmetry between the way John the Baptist, Jesus, and even Jesus's brother all match up mathematically perfectly. I can tell you exactly when John the Baptist was conceived. He was conceived right here on June the 23rd. The egg attached to the uterine wall on June the 30th. He was born over here on March the 30th. And he was named and circumcised on a Sabbath of unleavened bread. That's who Jesus was talking about when he said, if a child needs to be circumcised on the 8th day, do you not do it? Or do you hold the Sabbath in higher regard than performing the law of Leviticus, where they must be circumcised and named on the 8th day? He confounded them because they didn't know how to answer. You can't do any work on the Sabbath. And yet they named and circumcised John the Baptist on the Sabbath. Jesus was pointing directly to John the Baptist. Everything will kick off on this day. That's why I believe that somewhere here, earlier than this, is the rapture. This kicks everything off with Jesus from the moment that he was baptized to 40 days later, where he was about 30 years old in 26 AD, because he went to the cross when he was 33 and a half. In 26 AD, Jesus was uh, started his ministry on September the 24th, Tishri 10, just 5 days before his birthday, right here, the night of September the 29th. 3 days after he began his ministry, he performs his first miracle. 3 days later, on Tishri 13, September the 27th, he turns water to wine. Exactly 3 days. This is a Tuesday, the third day of the week. And if you come back here, the mirror date to that is the Last Supper at nightfall, Nisan 13, right here, when he gives a toast, says, I will not drink of the fruit of the vine until I drink it anew with you again in heaven. It began down here 3.5 years earlier, and it ended here when he drank with them and said he will not drink again. It's perfect, exactly symmetrical, perfect. Tishri 13. Now, on this day, 152, 40 days later, begins his ministry. 5 days later is his birthday. I think tribulation is going to begin either on September the 15th, September the 24th, September the 29th at nightfall, going into September the 30th, or Shemini Atzeret, October the 7th. I think somewhere around in here is when tribulation is going to begin. For everyone who says September the 11th is trumpets, it is not. It's not mathematical. If you would go and get one of my timelines that are blank and begin Tishri 1 right here, the cross will not happen on a Wednesday. It will not happen on Nisan 14. You have to account for 364 days, and on the Hebrew timeline, and you'll have to account for 365 on the Gregorian, which I did. I doubled up to lose one day, get rid of one day. I had Sister Sandy move it for me. Adam sins, the flood begins, Heshvan 17, October the 31st, November the 1st. Halloween, All Saints Day, Dia de los Muertos, the Day of the Dead, is recognized throughout most cultures as being an ominous day. This day, some terrible things happened, and they know it, and they recorded it, and they held on to that tradition forever. That tradition of October the 31st, November the 1st exists in most societies. So, and that's where you would have to get rid of. You can't help but go 7 days and then 52 weeks. You can't help it. You'll wind up down here, just like Jesus said, are there not 12 hours in a day? You'll wind up here on March 16th. Let me keep going forward. Let me see here. I wanted to show you real quick before I go forward. I told you last time the timeline goes quiet. Well, the world has kind of gone quiet right now. I don't see a lot going on. So it may be that I still firmly believe that Amos 3:7 is going to be fulfilled. It's not just going to be we're sitting here talking and poof, we're gone. I think we're going to be very, very excited. I think we're going to be told. I think we're going to know. No one knew. Enoch knew. Elijah knew. They all knew. They didn't know exact, but they knew that it was coming. As a matter of fact, there's an extra biblical book, historical book, that says Enoch was in his cave. He spent a lot of time alone. He didn't like hanging out with people. So he spent a lot of time alone. And they all came running up there and said, Enoch, there's literally horses running around on the clouds up there. It's the craziest thing. He's like, oh, okay. Yeah, they're here for me. I'm going to go walking up into the mountain where there was a bunch of snow. And I'm going, in this rapture. Oh, sorry. And then the same thing with Elijah. Elijah knew, but the conversations were taking place between Elisha and the townspeople or the prophets. And you see him following him everywhere. the tribulation saints are, I can't stress this enough. They're very important. I don't hate them. I don't get mad at them. They will say all the time, we're already in seals. Don't you know that the next thing is going to be seal 6? They're firmly convinced of it. Why would I waste my time getting angry with them? They are tribulation saints, and they know they are. That's why they view it that way. They can't see this. Their eyes are blinded to the correct timeline. They just can't see it. And it's not being prideful, it's factual. They just are not looking forward to seeing Jesus at all. They're just not interested at all. They're in the world, they're working on their 401ks. They're not interested. I'm talking about people, they do the church thing every week because it interconnects them with other church people and they all help each other and do things with each other. And they're better than you are. They go to church, they donate money, and they'll tell you right to your face, just like the rich man did when he came up to Jesus, said he's done all these things. Jesus was not impressed, and he's certainly not impressed with all the wonderful things they've done, but it's not forgotten. It's not for naught. It is for something. And so it will play into the tribulation. It's not a negative thing, but it's not a rapture thing either. So we're looking at here. My timeline kicks back off here in 13 days. On this day, Aaron dies. You can read it in your Bible. He dies on the first day of the 5th month. It is July 16th. He is 123 years old when he dies. And this is the anniversary. Of course, he died after this, but this is when Moses threw down the tablets. And this is where God divorces Israel. And this is where now he could marry us, the Gentile. To those who say that the Jews are the bride, you are just so confused. Like, you are not even reading your Bible. You're twisting it to attempt to make it say something. And this is not replacement theology. This is factual. It's exactly why the tablets were thrown down. It was a bill of divorcement. The Bible says a bill of divorcement for adultery. God created that exactly so that he could divorce Israel and marry the Gentile bride. Just like every other story we see in the Bible where Queen Vashti, she was divorced from the king, and then we see the Gentile bride. I don't know if she was Gentile, but we see the new bride coming in. The following day is 7/17 on our calendar. They put that in every calendar emoji is 7/17. I don't know why, but it's the 2nd of Av. It is Pentecost. That evening will begin new wine. This is what they found in the book of Enoch. New wine begins on the 3rd of Av. It is found in the Dead Sea Scrolls. It is July 18th. So these 3 days are going to be very interesting for the timeline. Here we will have Tisha B'Av, the 9th of Av, July 24th. But mathematically, when you count the story of Noah, you will find that Noah sent out the dove and the raven on Av the 10th, because mathematically it had to line up. I thought perhaps it was every 8th day, 7 days exclusive, but it wasn't. It was exactly 7 days, 7 days and 7 days. The circles in yellow are events for Noah. He sends out the dove and the raven. The dove comes back with nothing. He sends out the dove. He sends out the dove, and it returns with an olive branch. It returns on Av 16, July 31st. It does not match up with Tu B'Av. Does not match up with Tisha B'Av. These 2 days take place 1 day prior to these events. It's mathematical. It's just the way it lands. We have Tisha B'Av here. Terrible, terrible, the worst day ever for the Jews. And then Tu B'Av, the day of weddings, July 30th, the 15th of Av. This is the Pentecost that finally come. This is the one that finally shows up. In the book of Acts, we find 4 Pentecost events. Each one of them happens as Jesus does a wave sheaf offering. He does it. Don't touch me, for I have not ascended to the Father. He does a wave sheaf offering. When you count from, this is a Sunday, when you count from the Sabbath after, you don't begin your count from yesterday. It says from the morrow, from the next Sabbath. It's super clear, super clear. Yet it took me years to figure out what it was saying until I understood it was saying from the morrow. You will count from the Sabbath by the Sabbath. You will not count by Sundays. You will not count by Fridays. You will count by the Sabbath. And that is written in Leviticus on how to count a Pentecost. And so 3 different times. Don't touch me, for I have not ascended. He meets Thomas in the upper room, and the catching of the 153 fish. And then the 4th one, the final one, the obscure one that's spoken of in the book of Acts, the one that's set off by itself. I think it's Acts 19, set off by itself. This is a cosmopolitan wave sheaf offering on Ascension Day. The rule in Leviticus still stands true. You will count from the Sabbath after. That's the Sabbath here. You'll start to count here. So the Pentecost that finally comes is this one, Pentecost. It's the 2nd of Av. It is July 17th or 7/17. That's the one that finally comes. We're now here on, what is this, July 3rd? Where's that at? Oh, right here, July 3rd. So we have 1 week, 2 weeks. We have 2 weeks until this timeline begins to kick back off. I feel, and I've been wrong before, and damn it, I'll be wrong again. But I feel like the rapture must occur prior to August the 15th. I think we're in a quiet time right now. And like I said so many times, when the rapture is about to occur, things will escalate. It will be no doubt that this is about to happen. We will become excited and happy. They will become scared and fearful. Their hearts will fail them for fear. The last thing that I believe to happen will be the waves and the seas roaring. So it might be Damascus. It might be a big solar flare. It might be a huge earthquake. We'll see. We are getting closer and closer. But I firmly believe that before this 3.5 year begins, this 3.5 years to where what Hosea 6:2 is speaking about in 2030, halfway through, where Satan proclaims himself to be God on March 30th, and the 2 witnesses die for 3.5 days, right here. Right here, 3.5 years after that date, it begins, and then he's gone for 40 days to be tempted of the devil, but he actually begins on September the 24th, 3.5 years from his birthday. This is where the 2 witnesses will die. 84 hours later, this is where they will rise after 84 hours. Right here, Jesus rises, the 2 witnesses rise. Satan goes in and proclaims himself to be God. The Jews flee to Petra, and they'll do that in 2030. Israel will be 80 years old when they see the Apophis, and 1 year, 1 hour, 1 day, and 1 month later, Israel will turn on, what is it, May 14, May 15 at midnight, right in here. Israel will turn 80 years old at Apophis, or it'll be 80 years old in 11 months after Apophis. And then you have, like I said, 1 year, 1 day, 1 month. And that what that does is Israel turns 82. Now, if we're counting from January 25th, I haven't even done that math in 1949, but the world views 1948, so I don't know if we were to use that or not. So let me keep going here. I think I got it all covered. Rapture prior to the kickoff of the 3.5 years, exactly 2,000 years after the event took place. This event took place in 26 AD. 2,000 years exactly later, coming up this August the 15th, exactly 2,000 years here in 2026, will kick off the 3.5 years. And those 3.5 years, the 2 witnesses will prophesy for 1,260 days. And then the Jews will be hidden in Petra for 1,260 days. And I think there's a 30-day gap in the middle, reaching the 1,290 days. And then if I recall, I did some math. I might even have it in here. I'm not sure. It brings us to Hanukkah. or Halloween, another 45 days. So bringing us to the 1335. And so it all is symmetrical as everything kicking off on this day and tribulation beginning somewhere here in this 2 week period. So even if we count back 2 weeks, we're right here, July 31st. So another 2 weeks, we're right here on Pentecost. This is the day the tablets were thrown down. Exactly 30 days later, Jesus is baptized and starts the 40-day fast. So we'll be 30 days from that come July 16th. Let's see. I showed you that. The moon under her feet on 9/24, not 9/23. They were just trying to, because the sliver moon was spotted when it was up here, and they were calling it trumpets. Like this year, they're calling September the 11th trumpets. Just jumps all over the place. But it's like my birthday. It lands on the same day of year, and every single day has an exact allotted amount of time in it. The sunrise is exact on March 16th as being 12 hours a day, 12 hours a night. The following day will have an exact amount of time. It never changes. And so you can tell what day it is by how much daylight there is because it never changes. All right, on August the 15th, I went through Haggai because there's a lot of similar dates. On August the 15th is the day Jesus was baptized, Elul 1. 114, this story of Haggai lasts for 114 days. I don't know if that means anything to anyone. It's 2 periods of 57. For me, 57 is from the Sabbath after you shall count 50 days. It turns out being 57 days. So we have 2 periods of 57 here. To Pentecost, as it were. Not Pentecost because they don't line up, but August the 15th, Elul 1, Jesus baptized. You can see it here, the 6th month and first day. That's Elul 1. As the story progresses here in Haggai, it goes through, again, like I said, 114 days. And where it winds up at is on Hanukkah on December the 8th. And December the 8th, and I think it's the 9th month and 24th day. So it adds up to a total of 114 days in between the beginning, Jesus' baptism, up to the end, Adam. It's not Adam, it's for the beginning of Hanukkah, I believe. All right. I called for a drought upon the land and upon the mountains and upon the corn and upon the new wine and upon the oil. So new wine and oil, we're barley and wheat. The bride and the tribulation saints are barley and wheat. We are not associated with a tree that's already been planted that produces fruit every year. Barley and wheat have to be planted all the time in order for a harvest to come. If you don't plant, you don't harvest. But the oil and the wine is different. It's already planted and it's already growing. But look where it begins. It all begins again on Jesus's baptism day in Haggai. The book of Haggai, everything begins on the day Jesus was baptized. A call for a drought sounds to me a lot like a tribulation has begun after Jesus is baptized. Like I was saying, I think that the rapture must occur before August the 15th. We go forward 23 days after Jesus was baptized in the book of Haggai, we see in the 4th and 20th day of the 6th month. That is Elul 24. That equates to our September the 7th. Remember, creation began on September the 11th, not trumpets, not Jesus's birthday. It's just, if you say it, build it. It won't fit. It just won't fit. I've built so many timelines, it won't fit. I challenge anybody to go ahead and try. I have a blank one in Discord. You can download it, attempt to build one yourself. It shan't work because I've tried. But I'm not going to stop anyone, of course, from trying to build one. Now, day 7. So Mary had to perform, after giving birth to a male child, she had to perform a ceremony on day 7. And after another 33 days, she was clean. This date here in the 7th month in the 1 and 20th day of the month. This would be Tishri 21. It equates to our October the 5th, which lines up with Mary's 7th day. She gave birth to Jesus on September the 30th. And her 7th day, she would have to perform a ceremony. Now I'm confused why I said that, because that doesn't mathematically work. Let me see here why I said October the 5th. Jesus was born here. Okay, it's on the timeline. Never mind. That's why I said October the 5th. On October the 5th is Mary's 7th. Oh, because Jesus was named and circumcised on the 8th day. So she had to complete this day. It's a complete 7 days. She's unclean. And she's, of course, unclean for a total of 40, but 7 of those days. And that ends on Tishri 21, October the 5th. Every event that we find will almost always land as to some event that I found. And if it doesn't, it means there's an event I haven't found yet to put on here. Jesus was named and circumcised on the 8th day, which would have been Shemini Atzeret, October the 7th, down here. Now, let me return to where I was. And that's why. Tishri 21 is October the 5th, 7 days of Mary. This is now 50 days after Jesus is baptized. This is 50 days. This is a type of a Pentecost count. It's not 57 days, but it's 50 days. I still see a 50 and a 7 in there. So the next event that we see is this date, and this date is mentioned several times. It's very important. This date falls 114 days after Jesus' baptismal date. It is the beginning of Hanukkah. It is Kislev 24, December the 8th. December the 8th is Kislev 24. It is the 24th day of the 9th month. And it is 114 days after the anniversary of Jesus being baptized on August the 15th. December the 8th would represent, let me think, September the 30th, October, November, December. That would represent 70 days after Jesus was born, which is very interesting. 70 days. I didn't do the math on that, but it would represent 70 days after Jesus was born on September the 30th to December the 8th. That's very interesting. And again, the book of Haggai actually calls this date out, calls it out 3 times. I missed one. It calls it out. I think if I remember, I went through this once before. It calls it out 5 times. The same day, consider now from this day and upward, from the 4 and 20th day of the 9th month, even from the day that the foundation of the Lord's temple was laid. Consider it. Is the seed yet in the barn? It's a question mark. Yea. As yet the vine and the fig tree and the pomegranate and the olive tree hath not brought forth from this day, will I bless you. The blessings begin on Hanukkah, the 4 and 20th day of the month of Kislev. So it's very interesting that I show you 3 here, but I just realized there's a 4th right there. And if I recall, there's actually, it's referenced 5 times, or it's referenced 4, and it alludes to it a 5th. I'd have to go back through and study Haggai a little bit closer. 114 days after the anniversary of Jesus being baptized on August 15th is December the 8th, Kislev 24, Hanukkah. And again, the word of the Lord came unto Haggai in the 4 and 20th day of the month, saying, Speak unto Zerubbabel, governor of Judah, saying, I will shake the heavens and the earth, and I will overthrow the throne of kingdoms, and I will destroy the strength of the kingdoms of the heathen, and I will overthrow the chariots and those that ride in them, and the horses and their riders shall come down. And so I think that's it right there. Remember, as we go forward, and I can't stress this enough, every timed reference in the Bible is not speaking to the bride in the rapture. It's not. So as a matter of fact, there's very few that are. Most of it is speaking to the tribulation saint. And then the other most of it is speaking to the Jew and their time. And yet another portion is speaking to the end of the 1,000 years. So when we find something, we're like, oh, this is fit. It has to fit. It has to fit right here. It doesn't always fit. It fits to another dispensation, another group of people. We have the bride or the elders. We have the tribulation saints. We have the Jew. We have the end of the millennium people, or the people that go through the millennium and the end of the millennium people. So keep that in mind as you're studying and trying to figure this out. I appreciate all the emails and the comments. Please tell me where you're from. I really actually enjoy that. And I'm off today. I go back to work tomorrow. And if anything major happens, it's kind of quiet right now, but if anything major happens, I'll come out here and do a video and we will chat with you all again. Remember, take care of one another, worry about one another. If somebody doesn't believe in the rapture and they think it's already in the seals, still care for them because you just don't know. You just don't know. You have family members. You should care for the tribulation saints. You have family members that don't believe as of yet, like you do. And they're very important that that seed was planted so that when the rapture occurs, they'll know exactly what happened. So please consider how important the tribulation, they outnumber us 100 to 1. So just pay attention to them. They're very important that that their blood doesn't wind up on our hands. Don't give up on them. Don't be angry with them. Try to guide them and at least plant that seed. You can't change them. You're not going to change them. God does that. Just plant that seed and hopefully it grows. We're running out of time. And I think that deadline, my personal deadline is August the 15th. I don't see us going past August the 15th. If we do, I guess we'll see when we get there. I'll try to understand why, but I just don't see it going past that. We'll see what happens over the course of the next week and a half. We'll chat with you all again later.